Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sabona, peace and blessings, and welcome to all, one and all, to the special Women's Day Wellness Initiative. And I'd like to welcome everybody on behalf of Hamadi Laboratories, your trusted partner, Sharpeville Muslim Women's Forum, Vaal Muslims Forum, Al-Imdaad, and your media partner, Salam Media. And today we are here in Sharpeville. We are here for me, it's a historic place. When I'm standing here, I feel privileged. The soil of Sharpeville is important. Has many connotations for all of us here. We take for granted our ID cards here. Our ID cards is what's brought us here to Sharpeville, because this was the place where I see many mothers here, and I see they nodding their heads here because, Mama, it was your efforts and the struggles of your spouses and your children and your fathers that got us here today, that I, Maryam Mia from Salam Media, is able to carry an ID card here, because on the 21st of March, many years ago, this was happened. The protest against the past laws, against segregation, was started here. The birth and the struggle of the birth of a new democracy was here in Sharpeville. It was here in this very place that the world came to know globally what was happening in South Africa. And now, 27 years into our democracy, we can have functions like this. We can be one. We can be together. It was the efforts, the blood, the tears, the sweat, the voices of the residents of Sharpeville, the comrades of Sharpeville, that brought us here together. So carrying this ID is a privilege. And every time we look at it, we need to think back the way it started, the renaissance, the revival, the revolution of the ID book started here, for you having the right to be called a South African without any discrimination. Just Maryam Mia, a South African citizen, born and bred here in South Africa. And that is why we're here to honor the mothers and sisters of the community in Sharpeville during this Women's Month here. And Hamadi Laboratories have said these are the often most neglected segment of our communities, our mothers, because we're always worrying about our children, our spouses, our community, and we neglect ourselves, neglect our health, because we're so selfless, we mothers. That's our nature in giving. And that is why our partners are here today to honor you. We are here to honor our mothers. We are here to spend this day learning about how do we empower ourselves to take care of our health. And today's program is all about you, empowering you about your wellness. And we have from Epicenter Health, Mr. David Kanyile, and he's going to address us about females' health. We also have Al-Imdaad here, because Al-Imdaad are not just here today to gift us a little hygiene packs for our mothers and sisters here, but also they are here with an intention to build partnerships here, because you know what? We all know the struggles, asking government for things, and things don't get done. So we are very fortunate in South Africa. We have many sterling NPOs, NGOs that fill the divide. And for me, that's the hope. The hope of South Africa is all our non-governmental organizations, all our non-profit organizations, because they are the link to supporting our communities, and they are the link to create sustainability and growth in South Africa is the sterling work. And that's why I'm so pleased. We have the full team of Al-Imdaad that have graced us here at Sharpeville so that we can move forward in terms of sustainability. It's all about skills development and sustainability. And then later on will be Dr. Howard joining us from the One Network Health as well. But before I go any further, I first like to give us a warm welcome for the sister who, come up, Sister Farida, the stalwart of Sharpeville. I call her the mother of Sharpeville, the sister of Sharpeville. She is Sister Farida Mkone, and she she's responsible, and her team, for today, for the connections, because thus she's a sister of Sharpeville soil, a mother of Sharpeville soil. So I'd like to hand you over to Sister Farida to do a warm welcome.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dumela mbome, tamuka mamuka kuseni. Assalamu alaikum, my beloved sisters, brothers. Kyalumeri sabohle tobelani, ausheni, zwabuti, and molweni. Kikopa hule amuhela. It is good to speak the language that people can understand. Kitobua Sesotho. Can I speak Sotho? Kyale amuhela, really Sharpeville Muslim Women's Forum, Vaal Muslim Forum, Al-Imdaad, welcome. Hamadi Labs, we thank you so much for remembering the mothers that were that days, 21 March, they were putting their children on their back and they were running for their lives. One of the things, this premises that we are right now, the blood was flowing from up here, 3 minutes, 2 minutes up here. The blood was passing even through this yard, the next door, the whole of this section, the blood of the people that were sweating for our freedom. It was passing all through this section, going down to the water. After that it happened that the rain comes and it flushes all the blood, and it was throwing this all blood through our dam that side and going down. The tears of the people of Sharpeville, they didn't go in vain. Their death, they did buy our IDs today. We are free today, and we are saying Alhamdulillah. We make shukr. I thank you all who have made an effort to come here today and to witness all this ground that today the progeny, they even accept Islam. The neighbors here, they even accept us. The neighbors here, they even understand what Islam it is. They understand Abba Farida. The first time I put my parda, one of the things that happened, all the people who saw me first with my parda, they were clapping their hands and say, "You are so beautiful." And they were the neighbors and the generation here. They were saying, "You welcome. You stand here. We are protected because of them, because they know how to fight for the struggle. They know how to give out, even if it said it is the beauty of a human being to die in order to save the good lives that will come tomorrow and become someone who will be better for the nation." And we thank you so much for coming again today and say, we welcome you, and we thank you for saying you are safe as ladies. Hamadi Labs, I thank you so much. May Allah reward you all. Mariam, I don't know what to say to you. You know, you are most welcome. Feel at home. You know this is your home, isn't it? You know, anytime you can come here. Whether night, whatever the time that you have, you welcome. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the blessing of this day and the day to come, inshallah. Jazakallahu khair.
Sure, we are all pumped up now. Are we all pumped up? We all excited? We just went back through a history lesson. Yes, it was said indeed, but it's beautiful because it's through these efforts we are here today. And now I'd like to call Mavana Jali, and his family is no stranger, incidentally, to the struggle here. He's saying, "I'm not my father's son, but we all our father's sons." His father is in the trade union federation, very much part of rights, human rights as well. So we welcome him, and he is the marketer, chief marketer and senior marketer of Hamadi. And on behalf of Hamadi Labs, he is going to address us. So Mavana.
Hello. Hi, I greet you all. My name is Mvana Njali. I'm part of the management of Hamadi Clinical Laboratories. It's a pleasure to be here, to be in Sharpeville. It's a pleasure to be in Sharpeville. I want to thank everybody here, the partners who made this event much more successful. The Sharpeville Women's Forum. Thank you. Thank you so much. The Vaal Women's Forum, and also our partners, Al-Imdaad. My name is Vana from Hamadi Clinical Laboratories. As a laboratory, we've been around since 2013. We're much more involved in all the communities where we work. We also involved in this community, the Vaal. We love our communities and where we operate. That's why today we're here to be part of you guys here at Sharpeville and also add value to the communities that make us to be what we are. So that's why today we partnered with all our stakeholders here to offer all those services that women would need. As we all know, it's Women's Month. We here as Hamadi just to offer our histologies and cytologies to you guys, just to add value to the community at no cost. And we all know that for us to be what we are right now, it's all because of mothers. Mothers play a pivotal role in our communities and in bringing us. And without you guys, we're nothing. We want to thank you so much for nurturing us. Because without mothers, we wouldn't be what we are. You shape us, and you shape us to be something better in our communities. With that said, we just want to thank you so much as Hamadi Clinical Laboratories and all the stakeholders and who made this thing possible, and for everybody to come and to grace this thing this day. May God bless you all. We love you. Take care.
Thank you, Mavana. And now we've got Mr. David Kanyele. He's the director of Epicenter Health Clinic, and he's going to address us in terms of empowering us through our health and how to take optimal care of ourselves so that we can best serve our children, our families, and our community. Mr. David, the stage is yours.
Thank you and good morning all. Ngizokhuluma ngifake nesiZulu ngiyacabanga ukuthi abanye bethu bayasizwa. Sesike sasizwa nesisuthu. So ngizozama nje ukuthi ngixube sikwazi ukuthi sonke sikwazi ukuthi sizwe. I'm David Kanyile from Epicenter. Epicenter, the full name is Epicenter AIDS Risk Management. In company le eyaqalwa igxile kakhulu kwi-HIV. Nokulwisana nayo. Saqhubeka senza ucwaningo oluningi endaweni ezweni nje lilonke namazwe asakhele njengabo Swaziland, Lesotho to name the few. So asikho limited South Africa kuphela. Siyasebenza yonke indawo. So amongst other things then is looking more on research. The component expanded more on research, where unfortunately due to the effect of COVID, most research that we currently do now focuses on COVID. But we haven't forgotten about HIV, we haven't forgotten about sexually transmitted infections and opportunistic infections that affect us. Now, given all the introductions and the significance of Sharpeville and the importance of women, siyajabula nje ukuthi bakhona omama bethu bakhona osisi bethu bayaphila. One of the key things engiyaye ngiz-associate with women is care. A lot of women generally care not only about themselves but mainly focusing their care outward, which is really good. Sadly, in a South African context, it's not every other person that had good opportunities in life, and where families were struggling, you'll find that women will be first to be taken out of school. Amadoda ayaqhubeka ayafunda, bayasebenza. Currently in South Africa, one of the major challenges that had been addressed, even the president had addressed the matter, is the fact that women are not treated equally to men, including payments, salaries. So opportunities, job opportunities and the likes. Now, looking at care that women had provided, they do sometimes overcare and care more outward than looking at themselves, their own well-being. Bakwazi ukuzithanda nabo. Bathanda kakhulu abantwana, bathanda umndeni, bathanda abayeni babo, bathanda bonke abanye abantu aba around them. Bangazinikezi ke isikhathi esanele sokuthi mabazithande nabo. Lokho kuyaye kusinikeza inkinga ke ngoba we are fortunate still that they tend to live longer. Generally, you find that a reasonable number of households that are single parent household, it is women led households. So siyayibonga imbokodo namandla abawakhombisayo emphakathini. Impi eningi siyaye siyibone ngabantu besilisa bephuma laphana namahawu namawisa nezibhamu nako konke, kodwa abantu abalwa kakhulu ibona abomama, ibona abazivikelayo, ibona abasupportayo. Esizama ukuphakamisa nokuqhaqhambisa kakhulu namhlanje ukuthi ake sizithande nathi. Ake sithi noma sibathanda abanye, sibuye sibheke nathi sibone ukuthi ingabe thina ke labantu esibathandayo nesibanakekelayo sizobe sikhona yini in 5 years time, in 10 years time, in 20 years time to continue showing and expressing that care. Amongst other things, ukuzithanda nokuzinakekela kuncike ezintweni eziningi. Siyayisibheke okomoya, siyayisibheke okwengqondo, siyayisibheke okomzimba. Okomzimba ke kuvame ukuthi kuze kamuva, kuze egcineni. Kunezifo eziningi ezikhona njengamanje. Epicenter focuses more currently on communicable diseases, but we haven't actually forgotten non-communicable diseases. And in that, we encourage people to actually test and know themselves, irrespective of gender. You need to understand your wellness as an individual, psychological, physiological, mentally, physically, but most importantly, physically, our health. Previously, we didn't have as many women publicly drinking and smoking. Nowadays, how many women do we see smoking and drinking? Now, one of the major challenges also, amongst other ailments, is cancer. And it is on a rise. Second to the highest, which is breast cancer, that we often do not look into. Even if you feel that there is a lump or you feel something that you are not certain about, we say, no, it will go away. The major challenge with cancer, as an example, is as much as it is manageable, a reasonable number of diagnoses may have been done at a later stage. And if you are diagnosed late, it makes the treatment options minimal. It reduces them. And it therefore reduces a lifespan yakho njengomuntu. Ungabusakwazi ke ukuthi ube khona ukunakekela labantu othi uyabathanda. Ingakho ngithi ukuze sikwazi ukuthi siqinise othandweni esinalo, asizithande thina kuqala. Ukuze sikwazi ukuthi sibe khona ngaso sonke isikhathi, well, depending on each and every individual's lifespan. So breast cancer being one of the key challenges. Second to it is cervical cancer. We currently in South Africa have a major drive in terms of human papillomavirus vaccination, which is one of the causes to cervical cancer. So we encourage people that not only themselves should they screen for HPV, but allow especially the young ones to vaccinate, which help prevent actually the onset of such conditions, and therefore reduces the risk and the likelihood of one actually ending up with cancer. We offer different packages then as Epicenter in partnership with Hamadi in terms of general screening, where we look at broader wellness. We find the people going out there, going to gym, and they wanted to lose weight, they want to shape up, and there are a few things now that are in. People are looking at thighs and yes. So we are shaping, we are firming up, but do we actually think and check whether or not you are healthy enough to even do those exercises, to even carry those weights that you carry at the gym? Does your heart has the power to actually do that? So we need to do our full wellness, which should be something that you do annually. Yes, we know then that some people may not afford to do it annually, but to allow 5 years to elapse and you haven't checked on your health, you do not know whether or not you have high blood pressure or low blood pressure, you do not know whether or not you are diabetic, you do not know of any of the conditions you have. You cough, you think, no, it will go away, it's just flu. But do you know the effect of that? We have quite a few people that are coming through to us to test generally for COVID, because we are testing for COVID. We are doing antigen testing, which is the rapid COVID testing. We are doing PCR testing, which Hamadi is helping us in terms of running the test. We collect the sample, ship them to Hamadi, and they run the test. We give you results. And one of the key things that we are emphasizing is to ensure that we are bringing health closer to people. We are also involved in a reasonable number of research studies, and one of the reasons for that is to ensure easy access to health, the quality, good quality of health, and also giving an opportunity for us to manage our health even better. Unless we test, unless we know where we are, we do not know if we will be there tomorrow. There are conditions that will come as a surprise, and you hear a person just collapsed. They were at the mall shopping and the person collapsed. No one knows what happened. Possibly it could be hypertension, hypotension, diabetes. It could be a variety of factors. So with a partnership with Hamadi, we collect blood in our walk-in lab and then ship them to Hamadi to do the general tests. We are also including Pap Smear, which also helps, excuse me, in terms of establishing the likelihood of whether or not the person is exposed or is at risk of having cancer. So we encourage you to utilize and use these opportunities. We try to, in simplifying access, by taking away all the restrictions that you can only test when you have a doctor's referral, or you can only test when you had an appointment and you have to stick to this appointment, because if you miss your appointment, then you lose your money, all those things. So you have free cancellation, you can make appointments, we do follow-ups with you, and we run some of the studies where we come to you as an individual. At your own household. Currently, one of the studies that we are running, which is ending at the end of this month, is a study where we are doing respiratory infection testing. This includes COVID, influenza A and B, and RSV. Now, what had happened is that we have had some of our regular COVID clients who will test with us, and they are still not feeling well. They still test and they test negative, but they are still not feeling well. We encourage them and say, how about participating in the study? It's free of charge. You are not paying anything. We come to you and you actually do your own swapping at your own convenience. And that's actually helped because some of them had been struggling so much thinking it is COVID, and it wasn't COVID, it was actually influenza. And in few cases, we have actually found RSV as well. So we are providing the details. We will share that with Hamadi and others who would actually need that kind of information, so that you can also reach and access that kind of information where you can test and actually understand your health and the broader spectrum in terms of health. Coming back to cancer, generally we encourage people to do their annual wellness testing where you screen for a variety of things. But in terms of cancer, we often encourage that. It was initially looked at about 5-year intervals. It is encouraged, especially for younger people, younger than the age of 50, to test every 3 years. Okay. The risk is higher at the ages 25 to 65. At the age of 65 and older, yes, you find that even sexual activity may be reduced. Some of the risks are reduced, but it's still important. One, if you never tested it, to test. Two, also to ensure then that you do not allow a longer period of time not testing and actually establishing where you stand. I am one of the people who have lost a mother that I've loved, although it is not my maternal mother, through cancer. And when we establish the person, my mother was already at stage 3. And that is the time we actually established. We did a lot of interventions. We invested a lot to try and ensure that we actually help improve the health of her life. For a longer time, she was bedridden, started having bed sores. It was difficult. It wasn't easy. Don't wait until it is too late. Do something today to ensure that you are okay, and do your routine and regular testing, which will help support your health and well-being. That is what we are encouraging. And also, amongst other things, as I highlighted, HIV Epicenter being AIDS risk management, focusing more on HIV. We even saw a reasonable number of people who will test for HIV. Yes, it is one of the sexually transmitted infections because it is primarily sexually transmitted. But there are a lot of other sexually transmitted infections that are out there, STIs. How many of people do go out there and say, yes, do test for HIV, but also test for other sexually transmitted infections? No. But we are still active, aren't we? So these are some of the challenges then that we encounter. And then by the time people actually get to us and get to seek help, it's when things had developed too far. Some of these sexually transmitted infections are lifetime conditions that you live with, like HIV. They are manageable. There are people that had lived for the past 20 years. You don't even know that they are HIV positive because it is now manageable. You live like any other person. You have herpes. You actually live like any other person. It is opportunistic, obviously. When the immunity is compromised due to other conditions, you find then that it will resurface. You start seeing your sores, you start seeing your other symptoms, mainly because you are not managing it. Keep your immunity high, and the only way you can keep your immunity high is to actually know your health, understand it better. We also still help in HIV case management with regard to screening your viral loads, your CD4 cell counts, and a variety of other tests. But as women, we encourage you to do your annual health wellness testing. Do your 3-year repeats on your Pap Smears, and do other routine and regular testing to keep yourselves healthy and live longer. We love you. We know you care. We also care about you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. David. They say loving others starts with loving ourselves, and caring for others starts with caring for ourselves. So if we are focused on our wellness, then we can then transfer it and then be focused on the wellness of all those around us. As the mother, as the matriarch, we control our tribe, so to speak, our family, not only our family, our communities, and hence the focus now should be on your own health and wellness. So please, I know we often too busy, myself included, with all our chores, making things happen, connecting people, connecting communities, building partnerships. But remember, if you are not well and you are feeling ill or you have ailments, then you aren't going to function on that optimal level, and things around you are going to fall apart. So that's why good health starts from within, starts from you. And we know, as believers, as Muslims, we always say prevention is better than cure. So this is what it is. Let's focus on our preventative healthcare, preventative well-being, and that is what Mr. David is telling us all, that early screening, early intervention, but prevention is the best cure. So let's focus on us, and let's all focus on, and this is essentially what today is all about, is prevention. And also, we know we have the nurses here, and we'll be conducting our Pap Smears. And with regard to Pap Smears, it's an easy test, a bit uncomfortable, but the reason that Pap Smear is early screening is vital. Early screening is extremely important because cervical cancer can be treated with early screening. So we all hear once every 3 years, from the age of 25 years old, you should once every 3 years have a Pap smear done. So that is the importance of the Pap smears. But we're going to have a little later Dr. Howard, who is going to be in attendance, and he'll be focusing on this with his talk. And now we'd like to welcome, I'm just trying to see where's Brother Abed Kareem. Yes, so we'd like to thank Al-Imdaad. You know, when Al-Imdaad comes, it's a convoy that comes, the Al-Imdaad, the green convoy. I like to call them the green convoy. At Salam Media, we've partnered on many projects with Al-Imdaad. And when they come, it's just this excitement, this happiness. I've done an early childhood development collaboration with Al-Imdaad. And you know, that excitement when you see the green convoy of hope, you know, green, everything is growing. So I call them the green team, because they bring hope, they partner. And when you see them, you just feel happiness, because, you know, things are going to happen. Communities are going to benefit. Partnerships are going to be forged. Relationships are going to be developed. So I'm here. It's a pleasure. You know, only the Almighty can plan. You can plan, and I can plan. And as they say in the Quran, but Allah is the best of all planners. And this day planned because Allah planned it that way, because our hearts were united. Our intention was sincere and noble, because I only called Brother Abdul Karim in the week, and I said, Sharpeville needs you. Sharpeville ladies need your help. You need to be here to honor our mothers and sisters of Sharpeville. I need some hygiene packs. And he says, Appa Mariam, I'm coming to Johannesburg. It so happens this weekend. And I said, Brother Abed, Saturday morning you will be in Sharpeville, inshallah. And the Almighty has planned it that way. And that's how we came to be with all our partners. It just worked out, because when we say everything happens according to our intentions, and when our intentions are sincere and our intentions are noble, then Almighty allows everything to be in place. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Brother Abed Karim. He is the project coordinator for all local South African projects facilitated by Al-Imdaad. He's also the intergovernmental facilitator. That means talking to governments, forging partnerships, relationships with the government. That is Brother Abed's portfolio. So the buck stops with him then. So if we need things and we need to get the counselors and everybody, call by Brother Abed. He will facilitate. He knows how to speak government. He speaks government. So his jargon is there. So I'd like to introduce you to Brother Abid Karim, as well as welcome the entire Al-Imdaad team. And thank you for gracing us with your presence and your gifts here, Brother Abid.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Sanbonani, Dumilang, Khoyamora, good morning. First and foremost, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that today I am 50 years and plus. Tina, I came first time to Sharpeville. First time. But Watinta Bafas, Umbogoto Sharpeville. Watinta Bafas, Watintim Bogoto, Sebonga. You know, when Appa Mariam was introducing, when a lady and a mother gives you instructions, you must listen and come, no makanjani. So Appa Mariam, we want to say in the offset, yeah, that Jazakallah to you and to Salam Media for giving us this opportunity today to be here in Smartphone, in Sharpeville. And to call us the green team and the green people, hey, this is a new name now, we've got Al-Imdaad, but we're all in black. But I think what's important, my respected mothers, my sisters, and the ustads, and Appa Farida, where are you? Ipimbogoto. Appa Farida, Sundays Pampi. Appa, you come front. You are our mother, you are our sister. We are going to talk today as a family, as a Skuluma family. There's no special treatment here. Yabon? We all are one. So firstly, before I start my words of support, I want to say to all the partners here, Hamadi, and we've got Epicenter, Vaal Women's Forum, I think I missed them, and Sharpeville Muslim Women's Forum, Sister Farida, and Mama Kelwanla. All you, the neighborhood, the people of Sharpeville. We want to say to you that we are very happy to be amongst you as Al-Imdaad Foundation. When Appa Farida was talking about the sacrifices that took place here many, many years ago, and I asked Sister Mariam, she wrote here in 1960 when this whole township was aroused. I wasn't even born, it was 1965. When Appa was speaking about that, we are in the month of Muharram, the Islamic month of Muharram. And if you remember the Battle of Karbala, the sacrifices that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's family made in Karbala, the blood was flowing for haqq, was flowing for the truth, and was flowing to keep Islam alive. And this is exactly, I would think, the same scenario, I would think, that they stood for their rights, they stood for what is the correct thing, and the blood was flowing, as Appa Mariam was saying, in this area. So we learn it from 1400 years back that our Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam stand up for the truth. And I must make another observation. I just took a walk now with Appa Farida. I just took a walk. But to see in this township of Sharpeville, our mothers and our sisters in full hijab, wallahi, Allah reward you. That this is what you call the change that is coming in the soft approach of dawah. Takbir! Takbir! La ilaha illallah. Muhammadur Rasulullah. To see our sisters, Appa just told me all those ustads that are wearing pink, they are now our appas. Alhamdulillah. What does it tell you? In that few minutes, I just got a quick glimpse. Appa, tell me what's happening in this place. A Jamaat Khana has been established here. The deen of Allah has been established here. And who Allah Pak used? Allah Pak used Bogoto, used a woman. You remember the time of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and Hazrat Khatija supported him? Do you remember the instance of Islam? The Ustads are here. I'm not an alim, but we heard from the Ustad. It was women that supported Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It was the woman who was first sacrificed and martyred in the deen of Islam. So if you know your Islamic history, so coming back to this day that we've been asked by Salam Media, Upper Maryam, Brother Ponti, and everybody to come here, is to come and support. Listen to my words. Is to come and support and see how best we can uplift our sisters in Sharpeville and everywhere else. And for this reason, at this point, I want to do a quick introduction of who Al-Imdaad is. What does Al-Imdaad Foundation? Today we are here as Vision for Life. Because if you look at Hamadi, they are our partners in KZN. We worked with them 2 weeks back or 3 weeks back, and thanks to Appa Maryam again, Jazakallah Appa, for connecting us. Allah reward you, and I'm acknowledging you because it was you that linked us up and connected us up. And this is the power of a woman. What in Tabafaz? Nangum Bogoto, you put us together. A mother puts you together. A mother holds you together. And that's what you like. A woman, a mother, a sister, a granny. And I always said this in all our programs in KwaZulu Natal, that the mother, the sister is an angel. She will carry the bucket on her head with the baby at the back, and she's coming home to cook food. We were in Shlabisa, right out there in Kayagute area. The mothers will walk down the mountain 2 kilometers, go to this river, which is dirty water, put it into the bucket, carry it up 2 kilometers up, and they're coming home to Funo Pega for our children. So do you see the sacrifices that you have? What a role as a mother, as a sister. Yes, Women's Month, fine. But to me, every day is a mother's day and every day is my sister's day because you, my mothers and sisters, what Allah has given you strength, what Allah has put in you, wallahi, make lakh shukr, which of Allah's bounties can be denied? And one of the bounties is to have mothers and sisters from all spheres of life. If you go and look in the different community, whether it's Christian, whether it's Muslim, whether it's other denominations, the mothers, the sisters are the strength of the home. You are the pillar of the home. So Brother Hassan Shazi, can you please come here quickly and tell us about Al-Imdaad and Vision for Life in a few minutes? And I will just close up with a few points, inshallah, and then we can continue. Jazakallah. Brother Hassan Shazi is also part of intergovernmental relations, and to the Al-Imdaad team that is here from Johannesburg office, from our head office, we got the entire teams. We were in Northwest Province. We went to set up the garden project, but I will talk about it just now. About Shazi.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sanmonani Tumelang. Ngizokhuluma ngesiZulu igama uHassan Isibongo Ushazi ngiqhamuka kule nhlangano okuthiwa i-Al-Imdaad Foundation. Yini ke i-Al-Imdaad Foundation? Leli gama ke le-Al-Imdaad mase silichaza ke lichaza ukuthi abasizi. Njengoba ke sisiza ke i-Al-Imdaad Foundation isebenza kakhulu ku disaster management kanye futhi naku poverty eradication programs. Sisebenza kakhulu ke nama partners amaningi afana no Hamadi Labs esasebenza nabo kakhulu le eMtshezi la sasenza khona i-Operation Winterworm esiyiqeda ke manje. Siphindile futhi sabambisana neHamadi Labs la sasila eLenasia South Hospital la sasenza khona le program yethu ekuthiwa i-Vision for Life. I-Vision for Life ke i-project yethu la sisiza khona omama nomkhulu abadala ukuthi sibasize ngama cataract operations. Sibambisane ke nama partners amaningi afana no Department of Health, Hamadi Labs kanye nama international partners. Naphesheya ke sinako ama partners njengoba wazi ukuthi Al-Imdaad Foundation ayisebenzi kuphela la KwaZulu Natal noma eSouth Africa yonkana, siphinde futhi sisebenze naphesheya la sisiza khona abantu abaxakekile. Siyabonga kakhulu ukuthi sibe la nisibamukele la eGoli si-Al-Imdaad Foundation. Siphinde ke futhi sisebenze kakhulu naku One Home One Garden project izola Tebele eRustenburg Seniorville Primary School la esenze khona ingadi okuthiwa i-One School One Garden project. Siphinde futhi senze no One Home One Garden project, One Crash One Garden project, One Mosque One Garden project, One School One Garden project, One Mosque One Garden project. Sibonge kakhulu ke si-Al-Imdaad Foundation ukuthi nisamukele namhlanje. Siphinde futhi sibambisane no Department of Health la senza khona kule project ekuthiwa iPhila Mntwana program la siza kakhona kuma KMC la siza khona abantwana laba malnourished ukuthi sibanike insiza abazidingayo sibambisene no Department of Health. Yabonga kakhulu, sengizobuyisela ku Mr. Karim.
Siyabonga kakhulu, Brother Hassan Shazi, and I think he has very cleared outlined some of our projects of what the Al-Imdaad Foundation in the language that we understand. So going forward, inshallah, as the Al-Imdaad Foundation, today we are here to support with hygiene pack. Today is a wellness day. So Sister Mariam asked us to come with some hygiene packs, which has everything that a girl child would need. And I think very important for us here at the Joburg office, we could take cognizance. We need to add on Upper Farida's team. And Qadi Ziyad has conveyed his salams, Upper. He apologized for not being here, our trustee and who is in charge of the Johannesburg office. I have briefed Qadi Ziyad. I think many of you know who's Qadi Ziyad Patel. In fact, you should invite him here, inshallah, in one of the programs, Sister Mariam, and get Qadi Ziyad also to be coming here. So as the Al-Imdaad Foundation, we want to say that we don't want to talk about just giving a hygiene pack and walking away. We need to look at what we can empower the mothers. Now, in KZN and KwaZulu-Natal, Tina and Zille, we work with Department of Agriculture, we work with Department of Health, we work with Office of Mduna Mkulu, or Ungongosho, we work with everybody. And we created the program of one home, one garden. What it means, we have got Umama Zwane in KZN at Al-Imdaad offices. Our offices are in Escort, in Escort. And then we have supported her. We set up a garden, 20 square meter garden. And in the garden, size of that window there, we have created 10 different beds. We put chilies, dania, potatoes, onions, spinach, whatever. And Mama Zwane, we are now supporting her for the last 1 year. 3 months, we help her. Where's Baba Shlope? Ipi Shlope. So there's a pambi Baba Shlope. And Ipi Fana. Fana 40. Alhamdulillah, Brother Shlope, Farida, he has started in our gardens in Al-Imdaad. And Alhamdulillah, I must say to you all, he has accepted Islam and now he's Ishaq. So Alhamdulillah. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. So, Ameen. So, Brother Ishaq now has accepted Islam about a year or two back. And Alhamdulillah, he's getting his training. He's learning by Maulana Imran and the Sheikhs and the Shuyukh. There's about 10 of them who have accepted Islam at Al-Imdaad Foundation, our gardens. And I think this is the soft approach of Dawah. So, Brother Ishaq and Brother Shlope, you see who's coming now. They started as ordinary garden helpers. They started helping us in the garden to plant. Today, they're the managers in our garden. Now, this is empowerment. They run our entire garden projects. We had delegations from the Office of the Presidency. We had delegation from the Premier of Gauteng. We had the Social Development Ngongosho came to escort. We had Amakosi, National Amakosi. The House of Traditional Leaders came. And it was Ishaq and Baba Shlope who took them and showed them the entire garden and were educating them. We have also done a proper, what they call training with the Amakosi from Mpumalanga province. They all came, the students, to escort. We came and trained the girls, the young boys, and Baba Ishaq and Baba Ushlope and Fanafuti. They trained them. So the program that we want to hope to establish here, Upper Farida, we'll have to sit down and come back again and discuss with yourselves as to how we can establish a one madrasa, one garden. One home, one garden. And we understand and we'll give you all the criteria, but now is not the time. Now we are here to work together and see how best as Salam Media, Brother Ponti, Upper Mariam, and all of us can put together our heads and how we can uplift you, Mbogoto. How we can work together. One word of support because time is going. They also need to have other, talks, inshallah. So quickly, tell us about your garden.
Assalamu alaikum. Ninjani? Ngiyajabula ukuthi ngibe lana ngoba uMr Karime besechazile igama lami kuSandile Ishaq Hlophe sisebenza engadini siyatshala kodwa ithina siphethe senza no one home one garden njengoba besechazile. So into engizofuna ukuthi ngisho la ukuthi ke kubalekile ngoba kukhulunywa nje ngezempilo namhlanje. It is very important that as a woman we should work up towards the garden. Abantu besifazane kufuna betshale ukudla abazokudla. Abakwazi ukuthi ukudla abazokutshala ku-healthy food. So I think that is where I'm going to stop. But the bottom line is that it is an healthy day that you are talking about. So let us try and plant our own food that we are going to eat. Sustainable living. Jazakallah.
Okay, Jazakallah Brother Isaac, and I will stop here and say Jazakallah to Salam Media, Sister Mariam, and Hamadi Labs, and of course my brother David and Abba Farida for inviting Al-Imdaad Foundation from the wing of Vision for Life. Because today we are representing you here from Al-Imdaad, but one of our components is Vision for Life, and we will talk about all the other programs when we meet again. And on behalf of our Amir Maulana Chauhan, our trustees, Qadi Ziyad Patel, and say Siyabanga Gakulu. Thank you for having Al-Imdaad here, Salam Media. You've always been in the forefront. And Sister Mariam, may Allah reward you. And Mbogoto, watinta bafaz? Watinta Mbogoto? Pambili, Salam Media, Pambili. Pambili, Hamadi, Pambili. Pambili, Al-Imdaad Foundation, Pambili. Pansi, my sugar daddy, Pansi. Pansi, my sugar daddy, Pansi. Pansi, my sugar mommy, Pansi. Kaina, o Apa Farida, Kaina. Kaina, Apa Farida, Kaina. Siyabanga Gakulu. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I mean, we see KZN, northern KZN got a lot of spirit there. You see, it's all the healthy vegetables Brother Isaac is growing that give them the extra vumaya. So, and that's an important point because as much as we speak about wellness, but wellness is, they say we are what we eat. So you are what you eat. And that's why we have all our partners here, because we want to offer the community a complete solution. So as Brother Isaac said, plant your own food at home. Your food, I mean, what we buy is filled with genetically modified seeds. It grows unhealthy, pesticides on the vegetables and fruit we eat. And when we consume that, we're actually harming our body. So Al-Imdaad is here to educate us to say, yes, eating healthy starts from our own soil. Let's, from table, they say from our garden to our table. And that's what we need to start thinking about. And remember, if we go back, even think back, everybody close your eyes, think back about your grandmothers. And when we were in the homelands, what did we eat? We needed spinach. We didn't go and buy outside from the spousal shop there. We went to the garden and we got the spinach. You wanted the herbs, you went to get it. You wanted carrots, we digged for the carrots from there. We always planted. Even the maize was dried. And remember the stone, we were hand stamping our maize. And that's what our grannies did. And our grannies lived until the ripe old age. Because why? They ate good quality food. We took our milk from the cows. We slaughtered our own cattle. We didn't get it from mass production. These were the cattle we grazed in our gardens organically, and we slaughtered it. You cut it with love. You cut it halal way. And this is the goodness, the pure eating halal, but not only eating halal, let's extend it to eating pure, because it's halal and Tayyiban, and that is what this garden project wants to inculcate. And also for our wellness, we need to discriminate. We don't put anything in your bodies. Let's be particular. Our bodies are gift and amana. And that is why I notice we don't have any sweets on the table here, because Apa Farida said healthy eating starts right now. And we are wellness. So there's a lovely offering of beautiful gifts of fruit that came here. I'm told Dr. Howard is on his way, because we have Dr. Howard here. Mongezi. Is Dr. Howard here? Okay, while Dr. Howard is making his way, let me introduce you to Dr. Howard. Dr. Howard Manyonga. And Dr. Howard is part of a female wellness center, maternity wellness, One Path, and he's going to tell us more about the initiative, and he will be focusing on female health. So it's Network One Path, and Network Maternity is an independent provider of maternity health care and related reproductive health services, and they offer a full range of maternity services focusing on women with low-rate pregnancies, and also they promote female healthcare, mother and child healthcare. And Dr. Howard, thank you for gracing us and making it here in Sharpeville. And we're going to hand the podium over to you so you can then speak to us. And also Dr. Howard will be enlightening us, because we all here, you've all attended here for your Pap Smear screening, and Dr. Howard is going to also tell us why it's important that we have the Pap Smear screening once in every 3 years. So let's welcome and give a good, sharp, full, warm welcome to Dr. Howard.
Dumelang, Absheni, Salam Alaikum. Happy to be here. My name is Howard Manyonga, and thank you for the lovely introduction. I came with my boy here, Kuda. Say hello, Kuda. Hello. And I also came with my wife, Ndibuo Manyonga, and we're so happy to be here in this historic place in this month, which is dedicated to women in our country. And I would like to say thank you to Hamadi Laboratory for the invitation, which I accepted without any doubts at all, because this is a subject that is close to my heart. So I speak here on my own behalf, on behalf of my wife and Kuda, who's here, but also on behalf of my colleagues who are unable to attend this occasion. I'm wondering if I should use an interpreter, but I will mix the languages as I go along.
We want it to be mixed. We've all mixed, because that's how we are a radio nation.
So I think what I'm going to do today is to, seeing that there's a wide range of ages of women, and since the focus is women, I will try to speak about women's health, starting from early childhood all the way to end of life issues. And then at the end, I can speak about what we do. But clearly, I'm here primarily to speak about women's health. And I might say a word or two about the work that we do. If you want to ask a question, please just raise your hand. I might use shorthand language or medical language. And if I lose you along the way, feel free to just raise your hand and ask the question. So let's start. Life begins in the womb. And for the female baby, when they are still inside, they are already very, very different from little boys. When they start, their reproductive system has got perhaps a million eggs when they are inside the mother's womb, a number which falls down quite rapidly. By the time that they are born, they have about 400,000 eggs. So look about fast Papilloma, yeah, you have about 400,000. I don't know how to say that in local language. 400,000 is Zulu, Mana, and so on in my own language. So what are some of the problems that can happen to babies? Has anyone heard of witch's milk? Witch's milk, little babies, when they are born, sometimes their breasts can produce milk. Yeah, that's because the mother's hormones are inside the baby. They can also bleed a little bit from their private parts. Yeah, like a menstrual period. And yeah, you have seen it, yeah? And this is because the baby has been completely immersed inside the mother, and her body reacts just like the mother's body. So to some extent, babies are like little women, yeah? Anyway, moving on into infancy. When children are around the age of 3, 4, 5, and going on so on, and they're becoming aware of the differences between boys and girls, okay? And this is well described in child development, that they begin to explore their bodies, and our responsibility ourselves as parents is to then to begin to teach them in a very sensitive way about their bodies, that they own their bodies and they must protect their bodies and so on. Particularly in a country like South Africa, where we really settled with a heavy burden of gender-based violence and violence against our little ones. But let's also accept that kids by their very nature are just very inquisitive. And so some of the things that we see as doctors with little girls is they might sometimes explore their own body parts and shove up little items up their private parts. And that may be seen sometimes with children presenting with a discharge from their private parts. And if it happens, it is the nature of children. And I'm sure you'll see children trying to poke electrical sockets and videos and so on and so forth, because children are curious. And when they show these behaviors, I think our responsibility is to gently educate them and not shame them, so that they can speak about their private parts with confidence. Then moving on to the pre-adolescence, yeah? Now we're talking the ages of 8, 9 to 11 and so on. That's a very interesting age, because these days, the diet that we have, which has got a lot of other inputs and ingredients in it, makes it highly likely that some girls have precocious puberty. They begin to develop breasts sometimes as young as the age of 8. By the age of 9, some of them might even start their periods. And these are things that we know are influenced a lot by environmental hormones that we take. But tied in with that, in this pre-adolescence going into adolescence, little girls can experience the onset of periods. And this can be quite distressing. And I think there's many charities and educational organizations working in schools trying to destigmatize periods, girls' periods. And you can imagine that the children are not emotionally developed to deal with the consequences of the hormonal upheavals. Hands up, any woman here who has not had menstrual problems. You see, everyone has had it, okay? And if it starts in that pre-adolescent age, the girls don't have the language or the emotional ability to express themselves or even seek help. So they really need the aunties, the mom, and the dads. So because I'm a gynae and I've got 2 teenage girls in my house, they ask me these things that when I tell my other friends out there when I'm at the car wash, what I was having conversation with my daughter with, some of my guys almost fall off the chairs. But we must normalize talking about these things about our children, because if not us, then they're going to learn it from the television or from their friends in the playground, and you and I then lose control of what's going into their heads. Yeah. So very important that as parents and when we are bringing up children, we keep all these things in mind, that let's help them come to terms with their changing bodies. Moving on around that age, what is important in our country, where we experience high levels of cancer of the womb, okay? We now have vaccinations that kids can get when they're adolescents. And the Department of Health has really been pushing the education into the parents, into the schools, through the schools program, that adolescent girls ought to be vaccinated against this virus that you might hear in the press referred to as the HPV, or human papilloma virus. So cancer of the neck of the womb is a preventable condition. In adolescence, the strategy is to vaccinate children. Later on, I shall talk about the Pap Smear and about other methods that are used to screen for that cancer. Sex education, I think in our schools, many of the schools now do have a curriculum, but I guess school input is not enough. It must be taken into the home, let's normalize it, and so on. And then going into the reproductive age group, which is where, as a gynecologist, we spend most of our time with midwives, working with women in the reproductive age group. And in there, it's a wide range of problems that we deal with. And I'll just touch on 1 or 2 that of relevance to women as they function in society, and some of the taboo subjects that sometimes men and families are unable to conduct because we don't just have the language to conduct these conversations. So in the reproductive age group, I think one of the commonest things in the early parts of menstruation is pain that happens during the period. And many tribes and many languages have got different descriptions. In my own language of Shona, the women call it like a sickle, like a sickle that's used to cut grass. Yeah. And Jericho, they tell you it's like cutting. So when they say I've got a Jericho, and it's something that men can't relate to easily. Okay, until we get given this metaphor, this picture, this thing cutting you through here. Yeah. And it can be really debilitating. Some women are unable to go to work. And I'm aware of 1 or 2 countries now, I think it's somewhere in Japan or somewhere else, where women now don't need to tell anyone if you are having period pains and you can't cope. The employers now are required by regulations to listen to the word of the woman without a doctor's certificate, because that is how common menstrual pain is. The next thing is heavy periods. And some women do get heavy periods to the extent that they might end up with all kinds of medications to try and control the bleeding. Sometimes operations if women have completed their families. And unfortunately, it is not uncommon that some gynecologists will prescribe hysterectomy for heavy periods. And there are now many techniques that can help women avoid some of these very big operations that are not themselves complication free. As time goes on, there is a price that we pay for all these interventions, which are disrupting the natural arrangements of things inside our bodies. Are there any problems before, any questions before I go to the next section? And okay. Silumi, you see, it's like it's biting you from inside. Yeah, Shaluma from inside. Yes. Yeah. So all the metaphors that I used to describe it should help us as men understand, and I'm looking to the men now, how severe this condition can be. And when our partners and our colleagues are going through it, what is required of us is to really understand that we must not trivialize it or label people, oh, it's that time of the month, things that are like quite derogatory and not affirming to women. So our philosophy in our practice and my own personal philosophy is influenced a lot by the way that us as people in Southern Africa have learned to look after ourselves, where we can blend spirituality with traditional medicines, with Western medicines, and find the best from each of those domains. What it requires as a philosophy in all of that is something that we call physician directed. So it's a healthcare directed personal care. So you have to see the doctor or the nurse or the midwife as somebody who's assisting you make decisions about your health. Rather than that, the doctor or nurse or midwife is making decisions for you. You understand? So your health is your responsibility. They are there to guide you in the decision making that you might take. We also take the approach of the whole person orientation. So we completely understand that in the 5, if you go to see a gynae, you are lucky if you spend 5 minutes. True or false? True. Typical gynae will give maybe 10 minutes, okay? But I'm saying us as doctors, the 5 to 10 minutes that we have with you is really a tiny window into your life. Your life is much bigger than the 15 minutes. And there's a limit into what we can discuss in 15 minutes. So it's a very problem-focused interaction, which completely sometimes disregards the totality of the human existence. that you are a woman or a man with wives and children, and, and so on and so forth. So we always try to integrate in our care not only doctors, we bring in the midwives, we bring in doulas, and we bring in peer counselors, people whose time can be allocated to you more generously than the scarce resource that is the specialist or gynecologist. Yeah, because for the majority of people, what you really require is somebody who can listen to your story, offer advice, but emotionally be there to support and spiritually give you whatever might be required to make you feel complete as a human being. We also believe that in our conversations, we have to accept that the way that we are created as beings, sentient beings, this goes to animals and human beings and anybody else, we have a life cycle. We have a beginning, which starts in the childhood age, a middle age. Yeah, some of us may be suffering from middle age problems now, both men and women. A middle age, and from there, just think of your own parents. Okay, we have watched our parents in their peak. We have watched them when they go into retirement, and their conditions change. Their heart begins to fail. Sometimes they get a dread diagnosis of cancer, or they develop degenerative conditions of the brain where their memory begins to fail and so on and so forth. And as a philosophy to health, we subscribe to the fact that our compassion carries on until the last day when we depart earth. And this means whether we depart earth at the time in our ripe old age, or we depart earth prematurely because something has happened that has taken your life. But the care that is made available to people that are facing these end of life situations is always multidimensional. And that's where this whole person approach comes in, that we cannot deal adequately in a 15 or 20-minute consultation with all the matters that surround matters of degeneration and end of life. And in there, our philosophy is that we always work as a team. So you have to bring a team together with all kinds of people, spiritual practitioners and social workers and relatives and family and friends, because that's how we function as humans. It is the human condition, basically. So just to finish off, and I'll open this for questions again. I'll tell you now a little bit about what we do in our organization and how we try to integrate these philosophies that I've talked about in everyday life, starting in maternity. So we're very fortunate to live in a country where we can experiment with different setups and different models, and where systems still generally work. So in our approach, we build teams. I'm a gynecologist, and we've got a few other gynecologists that work with me. And then we come together with midwives and with lay people that are called doulas. Doulas are birth assistants, and sonographers, those who do ultrasound scan, social workers, and everyone else that may be required to provide services to the pregnant lady. And in our approach, we put that team in one place and we register our clients at that place, and you only see the people through that team. We charge you one fee, which covers all those people, because in the private sector, as it is set up now, you would typically pay every provider at every visit. So if your condition requires 3 specialists, you'll have one file here, one file there, and another file there. Also, your bills come from all these different places, yeah, which can be quite difficult in planning your budget and understanding how you need to prepare for the medical care. So in our approach, you come to us, we sit down with you, you spend an hour, with one of the midwives who completely understands what your situation is. And then after that, they do all these tests that I've talked about, and everyone who's working on our clients has agreed to work at a discounted rate. We negotiate upfront for our clients so that we can open up the private sector to more people. Right now, if you're paying cash, it's almost impossible to go to a private hospital. In our approach, we have challenged the hospitals that what does it help to have a very expensive but empty hospital? It's actually better that you drop your prices, fill the hospitals with people who are paying less, but your impact in society is felt. Okay? We have a situation here where the public sector can't cope, particularly in Gauteng. Gauteng has got more people than what the resources can carry. Every year we are told and reminded how many people are flocking into Gauteng, not only from other countries, but also from the other provinces. And clearly, there is a huge need to make beds in the private sector available to people who can't now afford them. And I guess this is where our company works in. And I'm happy that we have had a partnership with Hamadi. We have come to the party to support this project with making the price of tests affordable. So once again, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you and for giving me the chance to meet all of you. And I would love to take this opportunity on my own behalf and my family and my colleagues to wish you a happy Women's Month for the rest of the month and hope we will see you sometime soon. Pap Smears. Okay. 1 minute on Pap Smears. Okay, so 2 minutes on Pap Smears. Thanks for reminding me. So we talked about cancers that can affect women. There's the one I talked about is the cervical cancer or cancer of the neck of the womb. The next biggie is cancer of the breast. And these are the two big cancers that confront us in our region amongst women. So the strategies for young girls is vaccination, which we talked about, and the public sector facilities, private doctors, some of the pharmacies are able to give these vaccines to adolescents. For reproductive age women, there's now all kinds of tests for screening for cancer of the cervix. This is a cancer that doesn't come on just suddenly, but long before it appears, there are some telltale signs that you can pick up. So the first telltale sign that you could pick up is a persistence of this human papilloma virus. So this is a virus that is very common. Any woman or man who's sexually active at some point will be exposed to the human papilloma virus. It's like perhaps like the flu, but our bodies fight it off. But for some reason, the virus or certain types of the virus can persist in the neck of the womb and over time affect the cells there that they go through this change that results in cancer. So those precancerous or these viruses can be picked up by a viral test. So if you go to a gynae or to a facility, they will have a test called HPV test, and that test will tell them whether you have the virus or not. And whether you have the virus or not, they will decide what type you have, and then they might then combine that with the Pap smear, which is where the doctor or nurse inserts a little gadget to take or sample some cells from the neck of the womb, which are then analyzed under the microscope and will again tell whether there is a high risk of cancer. So the recommendation in this country is that once you become sexually active, it used to be from the age of 20, but now we're saying sexually active, because we have got a high rate of HIV, which promotes the development of this condition into cancer, the precancerous conditions. So once you're sexually active, it is recommended that you have Pap smears on a regular basis. The recommendations vary whether you're in the public sector or private sector, but it is really about availability of resources. Typically in the private sector, the tests are done once every 3 to 5 years. In the public sector, it used to be from the age of 30, once every 10 years, but that was really a question of resources rather than science. Yeah. So just to summarize it, on the question of cervical cancer, vaccination is key. Then the screening can either be this HPV, persistent HPV, or the screening can be the Pap smear, which may then result in the doctors recommending one type of treatment or another. When it comes to breast cancer, the strategies are self-driven strategies, which is you examine yourself, you know your body, and every so often after your periods, and it's important to do it after your periods, because in the period leading up to your period, the breast may be a little bit lumpy. So after your periods, have a feel, and if there's a lump, it requires further investigations and examination by a healthcare worker. And I think the recommendations now is from the age of 40, we would recommend a special X-ray of the breast, which is called a mammograph. And the requirements might vary depending on your family history. So with all these things, I think what is important is to sit down with a professional and they explain to you the advantages and disadvantages and options that you have for screening for these conditions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Howard, for the very informative talk. And yes, I think we feel empowered. Are you feeling more confident about your health? Are you ready to, from now, start eating healthy, putting good things, nutritious things in our body, worrying about our health, speaking when we visit our clinics? Let us be proactive. Let not the nurse tell you, oh, you have this and that. Let's tell them, you know what? I feel like this. What should I be doing? Let's read more. Let's learn more, and let's take charge about our health, because nobody's going to worry about us like how we will care for ourselves. And I'd like to welcome our counselor, Ms. Maditaba Mohali, ward counselor of Ward 13 counselor. Thank you for coming and sharing in our Women's Day Hamadi in conjunction with Al-Imdaad, Sharpeville Muslim Women's Forum, Vaal Muslim Forum, and Salam Media. Thank you for joining us here on our Wellness Women's Day program. Much appreciated that you could make time from your busy day to come. And hopefully we've spoken to Al-Imdaad, and with our partners here at Al-Imdaad, which is an NPO, they envision partnerships here to develop Sharpeville, especially empowering our mothers and sisters in the area. So we're looking forward to that, forging such a relationship with yourself and the various partners here as well. And please, if we don't mind, we're putting you on the spot, would you just like to address us for a minute or so, just to welcome? What would be a counselor if she doesn't speak? You know, that's part of your job. If you're a public office bearer, you need to speak. It goes with the territory. Come through, yes. It's part of the job to speak. It's part.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks, Sister Farida. I'm glad to be here. I think we'll work together, and especially with Sister Farida. And I don't want to. I want to be short because I'm late. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks so much for those words. And now, yes, the ladies from Vaal Muslim Women's Group, as well as Sharpeville and Hamadi, has brought us. I think we way past. It was supposed to be a tea, but we way past tea. So now we're going to have our late tea now. And all the while, I've got Estelle Florence, and she's been helping us here fill in all the forms so that you could get tested. So while we're getting tested, you can enjoy your breakfast and enjoy your day here. And thank you for coming. And look, Dr. Howard and Mr. David, you'll still be here for a little while. So if you have any questions that, you know, sometimes I included get shy to speak about or ask questions in a very public forum. So you will have them for maybe half an hour or so at your disposal. And if you need any information, we've got the Hamadi team here as well, that anything regarding test or blood testing. Remember, they say I said wrong. It's not. My colleague there, Abdul Samad Salam, said, Apa, it's not Hamadi. It's Hamadi. And what does Hamadi mean? Hamadi means place where Hamadi analyzes the blood. Please forgive me. I've been saying Hamadi until he stopped me and said in Sutu it's two words. Hamadi, place of blood. Right. So now I've been educated as well. So if you need any questions about testing, whether you want to test for your hemoglobin, that's your blood level, to all different testing, HIV testing, fertility testing, all different tests, they offer a wide range of testing, DNA testing. So they will be there. The marketers of Hamadi here, the team is here. Just wave your hands, Hamadi team. So they're there. And if you're interested in the one home, one garden project, please, the Al-Imdaad team. Al-Imdaad, please make some noise here. I call them the green team is here, but they say they're in black. Let me just so they're all here, and please connect with us. And on Salam Media, please go on YouTube, go on Garden Radio, TuneIn app. You can get Salam Media. So please watch me on my programs on Salam Media, because otherwise my CEO is here. He'll say, but we have topics and nobody's listening, nobody's watching. So please watch us on Salam Media as well. And I'd like to thank you finally for coming out today. And we pray, may you always be under the mercy and the protection of the Almighty. Peace and blessings.